Good afternoon, dear colleagues. We'll not talk about laws. I will not talk about the internet as such. I'd rather talk about the facts, about what we're observing. And observing, we are a completely fantastic picture that we never saw throughout the humankind history. The Institute of Privacy that was being constituted throughout the history of civilization was demolished within a decade, and that was the first time when morale changed under the effect of technology. So today, the citizens' privacy is subject to active attacks by four important entities. That's the state, the government, that is striving to make the activities of every individual transparent, and that's the crime that is using the modern ITs to radically change their influences, their leverages. Now, a theft of 13 billion hryvnias from rubles from Russian banks would impose a half-year prison sentence because they did not use their pistols or guns and did not come into the bank physically. They just hacked the system, which is not considered to be a crime by the government. And that's a colossal press by the internet giants that use all their actions of any user to make profit, because it was already mentioned that there is a giant number of activities that is recorded and done in the Silicon Valley. I talked to American companies that say that only by mouse clicking they're able to establish the age and social preferences and gender of the person. And then social users, when access is getting more and more simple, they treat differently the fact what sort of information the users post about themselves and what it would lead to. So the state, the government, attacks citizens' privacy on three major directions. That's special services with colossal access rights, accessing information about the citizens' activity. And just a couple of words about it, and that's fiscal services like taxation and financial monitoring that, on the excuse of fighting tax evasion and legalizing illegal incomes, will get giant access to private information. If you're reading through my blog, I did write that the banking secret is as a pivot point has died already, because Switzerland refused the banking secret, Luxembourg refused, and Austria refused too, and the governments of many countries made the decision about free access to the information that very recently was only able to be provided to a bank client under indication from high up. And fantastic legislations are being passed that we don't always keep track on. And Edward Snowden is the main theme of 2013. And now, now the hidden things are obvious, which was always known to IT specialists. Whatever you post on the internet stacks up in a big stockpiling place, and if need be, it's picked up by special services throughout the world. And what happened with Prism and XKey programs, that's the top of the iceberg that we've seen. I think indeed that the scale of this affliction is way larger. And while we have a dropping credibility of the institutes that we consider to be on the guard of our privacy. So the special services are not only reading and listening to us, they're deciphering all our correspondence that we consider to be closed, and the bookmarks that have been implemented with the use of RSL algorithm, the HTTP and SSL and TESS protocols. That speaks about the fact that ciphering only exists between the states, between the countries, and between the individual users, and information is all transparent and clear. And pressure by legislative pressure. And this year in Russia, they passed a remarkable law that individual bank accounts and entities' accounts could be accessed without the sanction of the prosecutor, only based upon a decision instruction of a taxation authority. And right before my departure over here, there was a draft that was furnished to the State Duma, to the Parliament of Russia, that stipulates that any social network user shall furnish identification data about to the government, and a company that will not provide or contribute to the collection of identification data will be punished for hampering transparency of information as it might pertain to terrorism and so on. Electronic governments, e-governments, are being created throughout the world to provide sharing information between many agencies. So in Russia, there is such a system of electronic data sharing. How do you close this information? How do you prevent the data from leaking and the data being used by authorities to the detriment, to the harm of the subject, We don't know that's closed information. So, and the next pressure factor is internet campaigns. That's a little part of what of the iceberg that we're seeing right now. In the global information network. So at each of these sites, the actions of every user are registered and cookies are being written with preferences identified, all of that generated in a bunch, all of that aggregated in a bunch and sold to volunteers who want to place targeted advertising. For example, I went on the site of a company that is into developing logos for internet services. Now look at the right encircled part. That's my Facebook account, and I didn't go on it via Facebook. I just typed in the address in the line, and the company identified me and how I got there and what's in my record. The Internet parties of Ukraine do not recommend that you send information down Gmail. Today, Google company admitted and confessed honestly that people that assume that the information they send down email is private, and they are real fools, because there is no privacy, and they refer to a decision of back in 1979, and it's absolutely so if you read user agreement, and that's a known Russian call when the private Gmail box was used for confidential information that was guarded by the employer, and she sent it out somewhere, and she was fired by the employer, and she tried to sue them and say that she sent information about herself, but according to the user agreement, the mail.ru company has a remarkable phrase that the company reserves the right to provide or stop access to information placed on its service. And according to the Russian law on information protection, a person that has the right to limit or provide access is the information owner. Therefore, the contents of the letter led to a firing of the writer of the letter. And this is a Kaspersky page, and it says how much your account costs, depending on how much you're going to use it. Please pay attention that the top price for advanced online game person is $150, and your passport data is 50 cents worth. How does crime use it? It trades the data. The market markets the data and sells the data wherever. Payment system, mobile banking system, they steal our money by using our personal data from personal data of fraud, and the bad credits problem is actually scanning the passports and using the passport data of other people. That's a huge problem for blackmailing in Russia, and I can take a bulk of examples, but we just don't have time. And the most updated case, 4 million Americans suffered from their personal data theft, stolen by data brokers, and the worth of one account, including Michelle Obama's, is 50 cents, no problems. And the citizens themselves, like Mark Wilkenberg, talking proudly about how many citizens are using social networks, but a private detective from America back in 1998 at the conference Hackers of the Planet said that privacy died a long time ago, and you have to put up with this, because voluntary, conscious, crazy, and contentless theft of personal data and building up killed that privacy. And these are screenshots out of social networks. Nobody made these people actually post the banking cards numbers and messages that they're about to move, and they're at the railway station right now, like, you're free, you're all welcome, our apartment is open, you're all, yes, that's to say, that's just to say it. Who read user agreements know that, in fact, they provide unlimited rights to any internet company to do whatever they please with our data. So what are they doing? What do we have to do? We have to cut down on our internet activity and think about what data we're using, and to a maximum provide for computer security, including data from independent providers, and we need to protect ourselves. So 2 years ago at one of the Kiev conferences, I formulated Miranda Internet rule, and in 2 years years, it became more tougher. Whatever you have indicated about yourself on the network will be stored forever and will always be used against you. Thank you.